Just going to read a couple real quick scriptures. This is Ephesians 5, 1 and 2. Be imitators of God, therefore, as dearly loved children, and live a life of love, just as Messiah loved us, and gave himself up for us as a fragrant offering and a sacrifice to God. And one more. Well, everybody knows John 3:16, right? What's that say?
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth should not perish, but have everlasting life.
Does anyone know 1 John 3:16?
First.
1 John 3:16. This is how we know what love is. Yeshua laid his life down for us, and we ought to lay our lives down for our brothers. Okay, and then just to add one more little piece to that, in Luke chapter 9, when Yeshua was talking about those who would come after him, those who would come after me, must do what? Lay down their lives and take up their cross daily. Daily. You're going to see a lot of daily come through here. So, again, just more encouragement. You can't lay down your lives and then take up the cross if you're dead. So obviously lay down your lives. Deny yourself is one of the ways that's in there, which is a similar language to Day of Atonement, and deny yourself. Humble yourself before God and before those around you. Okay.
Luke 9, what?
Luke 9, that was 23 and 24. Luke 9, 23 and 24. So I think if I'd had time to put all these notes down, it would have been a very long piece of paper. Okay, what else on the sacrifice altar before we move on real quick? Again, lay your life down daily.
Would that be, would you see that as a place also of sanctification, because it's fire?
Could be.
You know,
Yeah,
that
because fire does.
fire
sanctify, that's
sanctifies, yeah, it's that part of the beginning, if you will,
Mhm.
of separating yourself,
Yeah.
you know, getting rid of the dross and
And before,
purifying.
even before the altar, what happens before pieces are burned? Blood spilled.
Blood spill, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the beginning step. If you don't get this one right, you can't do the rest of them.
Mhm.
You know, so daily, lay your life down. Okay. Burley, I believe you have Exodus 30. This is where I'm jumping out of this week's portion just a little bit. Exodus 30, 17 through 21, instructions for the wash basin. 17 through 21.
Then the Lord said to Moses, make a bronze basin with its bronze stand for washing. Place it between the tent of meeting and the altar, and put water in it. Aaron and his sons are to wash their hands and feet with water from it. Whenever they enter the tent of meeting, they shall wash with water, so they will not die. Also, when they approach the altar to minister by presenting an offering made to the Lord by fire, they shall wash their hands and feet, so they will not die. This is to be a lasting ordinance for Aaron and his descendants for the generations to come.
Thank you, Burley. All right, so are we given any dimensions? How wide is this basin? How far across? How deep? How tall? Yes, Josh. Pretty big, huh?
This big or this small?
That big and that small? I don't know.
It'd be big enough to
So-
put your feet in.
Kind of big enough to put your feet in, that's right. It's just, and we're gonna see this again, it's just an interesting that there's not given any dimension. Doesn't say make it 6 feet across, make it 4 feet deep, 3 feet high. die, but this, that, and the other.
But they were given a vision of it.
But they were given the vision of it, they were given the pattern.
He saw it.
He saw it, exactly. And what was the purpose of this basin for washing? So they would not die. Okay.
That's a good one.
Logically, in our human brains, if there's a threshold to a house, logically, if I don't wash my hands and feet, will I die when I walk in the door? No. So, what is this about? I mean, logically, again, human thinking, if we do a sacrifice and walk in the door, will we logically die?
No.
No, not logically. Although God would say, probably, poof, you didn't do it right. Maybe. All right, so there may be a little bit more to that. I mean, it is told twice, so they wash their hands and feet so they will not die. Yes?
I think maybe the reason the dimensions weren't giving is because it's not the important part of the message. The important part is the water. Exactly. And later, we're told in the Parashah that we're to wash ourselves with the washing of the water of the Word.
That's right. You read my notes. Yes, exactly. Ephesians 5:25-27, washing of the water of the Word. You know, if this water in here represents the Word, can you wash too much? You know, can you measure how deep God's love is for us?
And of course, what is the Word? Who is the Word?
Who is the Word exactly? Yeshua. He's like everything over here. He's everything in this. Let's see.
Can it be measured or contained?
Can it be measured or contained? Exactly.
Can you have too much of them?
Can you have too much of him? Can you have too much of this book right here? Daily, you know?
So Yeshua's the gatekeeper.
Yeshua's the gatekeeper. That's a good one. He's a lot of stuff. He's the altar, the basin, the lamp, the altar, the table, the ark, the tabernacle itself, the courtyard, the spoons, the bowls, the plates, the knives, and forks. He's all that good stuff. But yeah, he's.
But if you don't call on him first.
You don't call on him first.
You have to wash through him first.
Where his blood has been spilled out here,
You don't get into it.
you can't even begin the journey if you don't apply the blood first.
And the water.
And the water. After you apply the blood.
Yeah, it's interesting, it's later, when they start putting the tabernacle together, it mentions that the laver was made out of the hand mirrors that all the women had. And so, it's just kind of cool how God takes something that was vanity in the wilderness that they were using to make sure that they looked, and then he takes that and says, well, we're gonna use that and use it for my glory, and something we wash with.
And in a
Isn't that
sense,
cool?
in a mirror, you can look in the water and see your reflection.
It'll be magnified a lot of times too.
You mean like what says in Ephesians?
Ooh, did y'all catch that on this side? That was good. Candace mentioned how, you know, when a mirror and there's water over a mirror, you see a reflection. And then Bertie said, so we can see his image, see us as his image, which is what we're going for. That's our goal. We want to conform to this. So Ephesians 5, washing with the water of the Word. And while we're here in the Torah, flip over to Deuteronomy 30 real quick. Just want to tie a little piece to this. On Wednesday nights at our house where we live in Netherlands, and we do some study and teaching there, we talk a lot about lacing our shoes, lacing up our boots, getting ready for the walk. So it's kind of the style that I use a lot. There's a lot of little laces tying things together. Deuteronomy 30 and verse, let's see, 11 through 15. I'm just going to read those real quick. Deuteronomy 30, 11 through 15. Now what I am commanding you today is not too difficult for you or beyond your reach. It is not up in heaven so that you have to ask who will ascend into heaven to get it, proclaim it to us, that we may obey it. Nor is it beyond the sea so that you have to ask who will cross the sea to get it, proclaim it to us, so we may obey it. No, the word is very near you. It is in your mouth and in your heart, so you may obey it. See, I set before you today life and prosperity, death and destruction. And why did they have to wash in the basin? So they would not die. Obey, live, disobey, die. Kind of a simple formula and kind of a scary formula, if you ask me. Okay, let's see. All right, what else on the basin? Again, we're just kind of hitting some highlights. There's a lot more stuff that you can research on your own, just looking at the word, look at the word water in scripture, and you could go for days. Search out the references just on water and how that applies to our lives, how our hearts are sprinkled and made clean and washed with pure water, like out of Hebrews, those kind of things, so.
So is it just, would that be the next step to dying,
What's that?
from dying? You know, you die to yourself,
Mhm.
now the next step is you wash yourself clean.
That's what I think,
So.
because if you're dead,
It's still part of that sanctification process.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a whole lot of sanctification to get
before you get there.
into his presence.
And before you go to the altar, you wash too.
Exactly.
So it's a before and after.
Yeah, before and after, exactly. All right, Mr. Lamberto, I think you've got Exodus 25, 23 through 30. These are the instructions for the table of the presence.
Thou shalt make a table of shittim wood, 2 cubits shall be the length thereof, and a cubit the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. And thou shalt overlay it with pure gold, and make thereto a crown of gold about. And thou shalt make unto it a border of a handbreadth round about, and thou shalt make a golden crown to the border thereof round about. And you shall make for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings at the 4 corners that are on the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border shall the rings be for places of the staves to bear the table. And thou shalt make the staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, that they may be bore
Let's,
with them. And thou shalt make the dishes thereof, and spoons thereof, and covers thereof, and bowls thereof, to cover withal. Of pure gold shalt thou make them. And thou shalt set upon the table showbread before me always.
Thank you, Larry. All right, so again, we're given dimensions on this one, some pretty specific things. But the key to this is verse 30. How often is the bread supposed to be in the presence of the Lord?
Always.
Always. And here's the bread of life. He's the bread of life. John 6. Just gonna write that up here.
and is,
Go ahead, Jim.
I'm just, isn't it made fresh every day or something like that, or twice a day or something?
Once a week.
Once a week? Oh,
It
okay.
was on Shabbat, it was
Oh.
replaced, but it's supposed to be there all the time.
Okay.
And what does bread represent in, besides being Yeshua, what else does bread represent in Scripture? Life, fellowship, a lot of different things. Let's go ahead and go to John chapter 6 while we're talking about that. John chapter 6, verse 32. I'm going to go ahead and read through this whole section 32 to 51. Is just we could pick the verses out, but we just read it all in flow here because it's in here several times. So John chapter 6, verse 32. Yeshua said to them, I tell you the truth, it is not Moses who has given you the bread from heaven, but it is my Father who gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is he who comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. And he's the bread is life. Sir, they said, from now on give us this bread. Then Yeshua declared, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me will never go hungry, and he who believes in me will never be thirsty. There's water. But as I told you, you have seen me, and still you do not believe. All that the Father gives me will come to me, and whoever comes to me, I will never drive away. For I have come down from heaven not to do my will, but to do the will of him who sent me. Romans 12:1 and 2, right? And this is the will of him who sent me, that I shall lose none of all that he has given me, but raise them up at the last day. For my Father's will is that everyone who looks to the Son and believes in him shall have eternal life, and I will raise him up at the last day. At this, the Jews began to grumble about it because he said, I am the bread that came down from heaven. They said, Is this not Jesus, the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How could he now say, I came down from heaven? Stop grumbling among yourselves, Yeshua answered. No one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him, and I will raise him up at the last day. It is written in the prophets, they will all be taught by God. Everyone who listens to the Father and learns from him comes to me. No one has seen the Father except the one who is from God. Only he has seen the Father. I tell you the truth, he who believes has everlasting life. I am the bread of life. Your forefathers ate the manna in the desert, yet they died. But here is the bread that comes down from heaven, which a man may eat and not die. I am the living bread that came down from heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever. This bread is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world. So, emphasizing several times this and there, he is the bread, he is the bread, he is the bread, and it's bread of life. We will live. If, as we've been talking about, we make that progression, daily die to ourselves, washing the water of the Word, then we feed on the bread. And if you think about it, if you think back to the Israelites and the journey they had just taken when Moses was getting these instructions, they applied the blood to the doorpost. They came through the sea. They were thirsty and got water. They were hungry and got bread. And there's kind of a theme that runs through some of this stuff. And then, let's see. Speaking of bread being him and him being the Word, just want to read one quick little verse to you. Blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. And how often is the bread supposed to be before the Lord? Day and night, all times, always there. Okay. Any other comments on that real quick? We're doing good on time, so we're ready to jump right in.
Now, so was that bread actually was meant for the Levites, right?
Correct.
To actually eat.
Correct.
So, I mean, it had a purpose for that in that sense.
Yeah.
That's why, like, when we see David coming in and asking for some, it's like, hey, we're clean.
And you know, before we leave, I do want to bring up one other thing. I mentioned fellowship. And since we were in John just a minute ago, if you flip over to Acts chapter 2, so it's not too far away. Acts chapter 2, 42 to 47. This is after the guys were accused of being drunk and all that good stuff. Acts 2:42. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe, and many wonders and miraculous signs were done by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. Selling their possessions and goods, they gave to anyone as he had need. Every day, they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. You see the picture there. The bread's all the time. They're breaking bread all the time. Everything in common, functioning together as one unit, that's our example. What we're striving to be is one unit. Okay, now, let's jump back over to Exodus. We'll go to Exodus 25. And Senior Eddie, I believe you have that one. Exodus 25. This is be 31 through 40. This is the instructions for the lampstand.
I'm almost there.
Techno Gizmo didn't take you right to it?
I was meditating.
All right, on.
And thou shalt make a candlestick of pure gold, of beaten work shall the candlestick be made. His shaft and his branches, his bowls, his knops, and his flowers shall be of the same. And 6 branches shall come out of the sides of it.
3 branches of the candlestick out of one side, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side. 3 bowls made like unto almond with a knot and a flower in one branch, and 3 bowls made like almonds in the other branch, with a knot and a flower. So in the 6 branches that come out of the candlestick, and in the candlestick shall be 4 bowls made like unto almonds, with their knot and their flowers. And there shall be a knot under 2 branches of the same, and a knot under 2 branches of the same, and a knot under 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches that proceed out of the candlestick. These knops and their branches shall be of the same. All it shall be one beaten work. And thou shalt make the 7 lamps thereof. They shall light the lamps thereof, that they may give light over against it. And the tongs thereof and the snuffers thereof shall be of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold shall he make it, and all these vessels. And look that thou make them after the pattern which was shown thee in the map.
Thank you, Eddie. All right, so again, how tall is this lampstand?
Pretty tall. 2 feet.
60 pounds tall.
60 pounds tall.
Yeah.
How wide? How big around are the branches? We're not given that, are we? Again, no dimensions, right? It's kind of a theme here, no dimensions. You can't get too much water, right? Too much word. And what's the purpose of the lampstand? What does this say? To light the space in front of it. Because you remember, this has got a big, like 4 layers of material over it, so it's kind of dark inside. So this is to light that space.
And
But
there's
how-
a curtain there too, right?
Curtain here and curtain here,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't draw in that extra curtain, because I knew I need space for
Right.
notes. Yes?
The one they got in Israel is about 9 feet tall.
Yeah. It can be big.
They have rebuilt it. In
Not
case
according to the
they
instructions.
they are making all the stuff that go into the temple,
Yes.
so that if they rebuild it,
They
they
can-
got it already.
Pop it all in, it's ready to go. Yeah, all these things we're talking about are built,
All for the Antichrist.
and they're just waiting. So,
There's a little
so the
thing
key,
there.
the key I want you to think about is, how bright can your light be? How much water can you get washing of the water, Lord? How much word can you get? Can you get too much?
No,
Can your light be too bright?
no.
Why not?
We're in a dark world.
We're in a dark world. And the light is to light the space where? In front of it. So whoever you're face to face with, whoever you're in contact with, whoever you're near every day, should see your light. Now, there's a limit to how big it can be, because the temple, the tabernacle is only so big. But your light is bright because you are the light of the world, because he is the true light that came down from heaven. Yes, Jim?
You know, sometimes trying to understand, where it says it's not the flame that sheds its light. It's the light that reflects off of the lampstand.
All I'm gonna say about that is this says it lights the space in front of it. I'm not gonna get into the
Okay.
bouncing the light off.
Okay.
But that makes, it's gold, and gold reflects light, so
And gold is the glory of Yahweh.
gold is the glory of Yahweh. So there's not a specific thing that says the light goes out somewhere and comes and bounces
Doesn't it
off.
somewhere though?
Yeah, numbers.
Not that I
Yeah,
know.
numbers, yeah.
Oh, numbers?
It does actually say there that we'll get there.
We'll get there
We're not at numbers
in a
yet.
couple of months,
So there's probably a reason why we're not there yet.
probably. But in any case, what I want you to understand here is the light. We're the light of the world. He is the light of the world. He is the true light. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light to my path. In Revelation, who's walking around the lampstands, Yeshua. So there's a lot of pictures here. And one thing that I didn't think of until, well, I never thought of it, but God said, look at this. Kind of like the pearl of great price. Flip over to Matthew 25 real quick. Something that just kind of had seen a bunch and never saw it. And we've talked about Matthew 25 oftentimes in here. The parable of the talents. So I'm just going to read this Matthew 25. I'm going to pick up in just in 14. Just read a couple of verses here. Again, what's the it that's being referred to?
Kingdom of heaven.
Kingdom of heaven. Good, thank you. Again, the kingdom of heaven will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his property to them. To one he gave 5 talents of money, to another 2, and to another 1, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. The man who had received the 5 talents went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 more. So also the one with the 2 talents gained 2 more. But the man who had received the 1 talent went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. How much did he give? 1 talent. How much weight does the lampstand weigh? 1 talent. Interesting picture. What are we not supposed to do with our light? Hide it. What did the servant here do with his talent? He hid it. Isn't that kind of cool? Just a little neat thing that God showed me. So, take your talent, don't hide it, go shine brightly, because you can shine as bright as you can. And I think the more of this you get, the brighter that'll be, just the more of that. And the more of that and that and that and that. But we doing good so far? We doing good so far? Everybody awake? If anybody's asleep yet? April's awake.
I just pinched him.
Oh, good. Okay, let's move on to the incense altar. And Gabriel has that one. That's Exodus chapter 30, verses 1 through 10. Flip over there. See, remember, the context of this whole thing is to be conformed to this. Not to try and figure out how it applies to our lives, but to be conformed to this, to lay down our lives daily, to wash with the water of the word all the time so we don't die, to fellowship, to feast on the bread at all times, keep it before the Lord at all times, to let your light shine. Gabriel, hit it.
You shall make an altar to burn incense on, and you shall make it of acacia wood. A cubit you shall make its length, and a cubit you shall make its width. It shall be square. 2 cubits shall be its height, and the horn shall be in one piece with it. You shall overlay its top and all its sides around, and its horns with pure gold. And you shall make a molding of pure gold all around. 2 rings you shall make for it, under the molding of both of its sides. You shall place them on the 2 sides, and they will be holders for the poles which you shall bear. You will make the poles of acacia wood and overlay them with gold. And you shall put them before the veil, before the ark of the testimony, before the mercy seat that is over the testimony, where I will meet with you. Aaron shall burn on it sweet incense every morning. When he tends the lamps, you shall burn incense on it. And when Aaron lights the lamps at twilight, you shall burn incense on it, the perpetual incense before Yahweh throughout your generations. You shall not offer strange incense on it, or a burnt offering, or a grain offering, nor shall you pour a drink offering on it. And Aaron shall make atonement upon its horns once a year, with the blood of the sin offering of the atonement. Once a year he shall make atonement upon it throughout your generations. It is very holy, most holy to Yahweh.
Thank you, Gabriel. Okay, again, we get a picture of how often is incense supposed to be burned here? Every morning, every evening, so that it burns. I like your version perpetually, always, at all times. And what, according to Revelation 5 and Revelation 8, does incense represent?
Prayers are set apart.
Prayers of the saints.